Hey everyone, my name is Alex. I am an engineer at UMA. I've been at UMA for a few years, and during that time, we've really focused on allowing 2 second or around 2 second value transfer between chains. So today, I just want to kind of explain a high level what is a cross, what is our architecture, and if you're a builder, how you can use it to improve your cross-chain transactions. So across, we're really focused on providing cheap, fast, secure interops, so seamless you don't know you're using a blockchain. This is not, we're not alone in this. There's a lot of projects focused on this, but we're really focused on this infrastructure piece and being able to transfer value such as ETH, USDC, or any of the blue chip assets between chains. Oh. And while our fees are incredibly cheap, we really are focused on the speed. So we've brought our median transaction time down significantly. This 2 second milestone we really want to get to, and we're around 3 seconds right now, but we feel it's really important because if you're a new user coming into the space, the anxiety of having bridge transactions take a minute or even more, it's just not a great user experience. And we feel like there's only so much like a wallet or a lot of these protocols focus on abstracting away the bridge transaction can do. Unless it's 2 seconds or around there, it's really hard to abstract away some of the pain points from Web3. And so how Across works, we really have these three layers. We have the intent layer, the solver layer, and the settlement layer. This intent layer is basically just the user being able to define what the result they want on this destination chain. For the last few years, it's been mostly value transfer, so like having the same asset go from Arbitrum to Optimism. In the last 6 to 12 months, we've seen a lot more demand for more sophisticated actions. These three that I've put up here, really swap, mints, deposits are the main ones, but you can really do anything that your protocol is already doing. And I'll get into like the UX in a second, but it's really being able just to click one button and you're doing that bridge action, and having that bridge piece take less than 2 seconds really allows the pain points of bridging to be removed from the user experience. And then the second layer is the solver layer. I put an X because we do not pass messages between blockchain A and blockchain B. Instead, we have the sophisticated actors called relayers or solvers who are basically watching all the chains that we support. And when they see this user intent, we have this ecosystem of solvers that essentially race to complete that intent on behalf of the user. And they do this with their own money. And so basically when an intent is fulfilled, the user's happy because they have their funds or a deposit on the destination chain in a few seconds, but now the solver needs to be repaid. And how we do this is we use UMA's optimistic oracle to essentially verify that the transactions or the intent was fulfilled accurately. And if it was, they were then repaid with the small fee from the user. And so how this works, we at the end of the day, the user is receiving their funds incredibly fast, and the solver is receiving their funds back with a small fee so that they can use to fulfill more intents, and then everyone's happy. So with everything that Across is doing, we have over $13 billion of volume. Our average transaction costs are under 4 seconds, and our medium fill time is 3 seconds. I'd say that we're there in terms of that cheap, fast, and secure interop. And then over the past 6 months, we've now been really focused on this seamless user experience and allowing builders to essentially leverage Across in their own dApps to make this bridge experience easy and making going between cross-chain simplified. And a big initiative we've done is create this SDK. We've had builders integrate Across for the last few years, but we've taken all that feedback and essentially implemented this SDK that abstracts away a lot of the complexity of multi-chain. Some of these features is just making like tokens and routes and chain configurations easily accessible. You no longer have to make your custom configs or worry about grabbing all the image URLs. We take care of that everything for you. We've also made the cross-chain component really easy. We take care of approvals, transaction execution, and then I think fill status. That's been a pain point for a lot of cross-chain projects. Being able to see transactions on all different chains, we've really simplified that along with tenderly simulations. So without getting too much into like the actual code, I just want to like show how simple this whole process is. For retrieving a quote, you only really need 5 parameters. You just need to recognize where the user's funds are on that chain that you're essentially using their balances on, and then where the chain and the asset that you want to use on your chain, along with the input amount. So it's just 5 simple parameters that you need to collect from the user to get a quote from across. And then we return this response. But before I get into that, I just want to highlight how easy adding a cross-chain transaction is on the destination chain. So this is all it takes to essentially, after the bridge transaction, to then do an Aave deposit. So we have the fallback recipient. That's where, if anything were to revert on the destination chain, this is where the funds would essentially be forwarded to. It's a pretty elegant fallback solution that has been used by all integrations. And then we have this actions array where the first object is just an approval, and then that second object is essentially is generating the call data for depositing into an Aave contract. And a lot of times when we talk to teams and they're concerned with how much work it's going to be to essentially add these cross-chain transactions. I mean, usually it takes about 15 minutes, 30 minutes for us to just change these transactions in this actions array, and we can have totally different use cases. So after we grab the quote, then all it really takes is passing in the wallet client, getting the deposit object from that quote, and then we have this on progress callback that makes it really simple to notify the user of the status of the approval, the deposit, and the fill. So it really simplifies that whole process, prompting the user and notifying them when these transactions happen super easy. And so lastly, I just want to kind of walk through, this is not intentional, but we've had these 3 integration options that teams have really chosen. The first one is just this custom bridge UI. And some teams have actually like recreated the across front end in their own UI and they have all the assets we support, all the routes. So that works for some teams if you're like a DEX and you want to support all these different assets. Others, if you're like a Poly market, all you care about is USDC on Polygon. On the right, there's an example of just like how simplified that onboarding experience can be. Just being able to access user funds on any chain and then onboard them onto Polygon. And then this is an example of just the cross-chain actions UX. If this is an example from YieldNest. They have all their contracts on Ethereum mainnet, but they recognize the user balances on all the L2s. And I think it's a really great UX because if you're interacting with the contracts directly from your Ethereum balance on mainnet, it looks exactly the same as if you're using Arbitrum ETH, except you're just having a few seconds before those transactions are bridged over. So it really makes this seamless UX. And then the last option I just want to include is this link out. It's very simple, but it's worth noting because I think there's a lot of teams we've talked to that are curious, like, is it worth allocating resources towards, putting cross-chain actions or putting a bridge UI into their dApp? So, I mean, you can add a simple link out in a few minutes, and we do a lot of monitoring, and we can gauge like how much demand there is for something like this. And we've had a lot of integrations that have gone this route. They're getting hundreds of transactions from linking out to us, and then they allocate the developer resources to essentially then add a more elegant custom bridge UI or cross-chain transactions into their dApp. So instead of the questions, I'll be at the booth all day. If anyone has any questions or want to go through possibly adding cross-chain transactions into their dApp, come find me, and I'm happy to talk through it. Thanks.